the hell everything? And what the hell everything for Tuesday, February 9th, 2021. I never know the date. I just have to look at like the clock. What is that here?
It is podcast day. That's all we know.
Podcast day. Tuesday podcast day. And Tuesday podcast today, we talked to scientist, meteorologist Michael Stevens. And just ahead of time, we haven't talked to him yet. Okay. Right. But I have a feeling it's always awesome when we talk to Michael Stevens. It's always awesome. I expect greatness.
Yeah, that's why we say, hey, man, you want to talk to us? Because we already know.
Yeah.
We already know.
What the hell, everything with Michael Stevens? Did you watch WandaVision yet?
So I just read the article because I was like, I'm still kind of running around in the maze. The first two episodes boggled my mind a little bit, but I enjoyed them. Yeah. And now we're getting into the whole MCU universe. And I didn't realize it, but the last episode I watched, you guys have seen it, right?
Yeah. I'm current, yeah.
Okay, so when Quicksilver showed up at the end of the last episode, I was like, oh, dude, it's Quicksilver. And then she said he recasted him, or she recasted him. I was like, wait, what the fuck she's talking about?
It was Quicksilver from
X-Men
the X-Men movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not Quicksilver from the Avengers, because when I looked it up, I looked up Quicksilver on IMDb. And I didn't realize I was looking at the X-Men one, and it said the same guy's name. I was like, oh, it's the same guy. What the fuck is she talking about? I just now read an article and realized it was the X-Men dude. I was like, this is how they're doing it. They're bringing X-Men in early.
Well,
I love it.
That was my question. I didn't have the question until you just brought it up. I mean, I watched it, and I'm like, that's the X-Men Quicksilver. I was wondering if they were going to cross the X-Men in somehow on this stuff. You're a nerd. Go for it.
Brings X-Men in at all.
Really? Why?
It's what it is I don't believe that the guy playing Pietro or Quicksilver, the X-Men one that just came in,
yeah,
I don't think he's him at all. There's I hear a lot about Mephisto, which is like the Marvel universe's devil, like
yes, yeah,
devil.
Huh.
I've heard that.
He's got something to do with Wanda. He's doing some of this control. He wanted the children, because they grow up in the comics to become like their own version of Pietro and Wanda. They have their own powers, and it's one of those little like Easter egg things that people watch. But when Quicksilver's standing there in the doorway, if you look past his shoulder in the mirror, his hand is red like the devil.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a split second.
From WandaVision?
Yeah. Like his hand is red.
See, like that shit, I don't realize. Now, me too. Now I gotta watch it.
I want to watch it again.
I scoured that last episode like 3 times because I'm just like, there's so much going on here.
Well, we were saying before we started recording the podcast, Michael Stevens, how are you, by the way?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
Lakes of Wrath, and, of course, meteorologist with 9 and 10. I'm good. Right before we started recording the podcast, I said that I wasn't like a comic book nerd, and that just meaning I don't read comics. Like, I've just never been able to get into them before. It doesn't mean I don't love the stories. Like, I love the Marvel stuff. We were talking about the new Winter Soldier and what's that? Falcon and Winter Soldier. Yeah. But that was I was down on that at first because like I've just never been a fan of those two. I'm just like, it's just been one of those things. WandaVision though is so. I was so lost, maybe because I wasn't a comic book fan. I didn't know what the hell was going on. I realize now what was going on in WandaVision. I didn't know if I was just lost when I first started watching it. Now it's like the best show ever. That last episode 5 of that was like one of the best episodes of TV I've ever watched.
It was so good. And that's the thing is my wife was a huge comic book nerd. And I'm like, I grew up on X-Men, the cartoon on Fox 33. Like Saturday mornings was loaded with Batman and X-Men, and like it was awesome. I loved that. But I didn't read the comics. I read a little bit of Wolverine because my stepdad had him, and I read a little bit of the X-Men because he was huge in the X-Men. But I never really sat down and read Avengers or Iron Man or Spider-Man or anything like that. So when all these movies came about, I was learning firsthand a lot of the story, and they were pretty close to what a lot of the comic book stuff was. Now, when X-Men or when Disney realized X-Men didn't have the rights, or Fox didn't have the rights over Wanda and Quicksilver, they're like, oh, let's bring them in. I didn't know the backstory on them, and I didn't realize that they were Magneto's kids. And
are?
Yeah, they're Magneto's kids. But in the comics,
really?
in the movies, they're not. Yeah. So it was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But so now they're going to have rights issues and stuff like that. But it ends up Disney bought them, and that's why I think Quicksilver is going to be the introduction to X-Men. But like you said, it might not, because I did read Kevin Feige, who runs Marvel. Sorry to nerd out on you guys here. But he said that they didn't plan on running X-Men in this early. So I don't know. Are we going to get it early? I don't know. It would be cool if they actually crossed it that way and Wanda didn't realize that they were Magneto's kids or something like that. That'd be cool. But I don't know. It's weird.
It's crazy. I think one of the things is when she blasted Monica Rambeau out of the Westview town.
Yeah.
Did that X-ray on her, and I think she gained powers of some kind from that all happening. I think at the end of WandaVision, they aren't going to introduce X-Men. They're going to introduce the Fantastic Four. I think they're going to find a way to do that. I don't know how exactly, but I feel like it's leading to that.
And that's the other thing I didn't realize too. See, this is what WandaVision does to you, and this is what I like about it, is it brings back characters from other stuff that you don't realize. The Monica Rambeau is the little girl from Captain Marvel. Yep. It's the daughter to.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And on the side of her plane is Photon, and Monica Rambeau ends up being Photon in the comics. Yeah. She gets powers, so that's where it all leads to. I was like, what the hell?
Dude, honestly, as when I was watching it the other day and she said Monica Rambeau, I'm like, Rambo? Oh, it's French. It's not Rambo like First Blood, but either way, yeah.
Oh, but yeah, I'm just geeking out on the Marvel stuff.
Nerd out as much as you want, man. Dude, I love that shit. I just, again, never really got into comic books just as a format.
I did it backwards. I never really read the comic books, and then the MCU started, and I really got into Iron Man, and then I went back and went, I wonder how close to the comic books these movies are, and then I got out after the fact.
That's exactly what I did with Walking Dead. Walking Dead started, and I got hooked instantly for the first 3 seasons because we were 3 seasons late. So we sat down and binged them on Netflix, and I was like, oh my God, this show is actually really good. And then somebody told me, read the graphic novels. If you want to be blown away, read the graphic novels. And I got the last compendium for Christmas. So the compendiums, there's 4 of them, are all the graphic novels put together. And this has the last episode or the last comic in it.
Dude, I'm not joking when I say I'm sorry to interrupt you.
So good.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but like I tried reading those. After I was 3 or 4 seasons in, Cartman had the compendiums. He had the first compendium, and he gave it to me. And I tried to read it, and I'm like, nope. Same thing with the Dark Tower. I'm a huge Dark Tower nerd, and I got the first issue of that Marvel comic, and I didn't even get all the way through it. I'm like, nope.
You're like, I want words, not.
I don't understand myself.
The thing is, Negan in the compendium in the comics is by far the worst villain I have ever seen or read in my life. He is the most pop-off, fucked up guy ever.
Yeah,
like,
but it's
crazy.
He's pretty much that guy in the series.
But they have to make him appropriate for a cable show. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, you're right.
His language in the novels is just like so graphic. It's a graphic novel. And like when they beat Glenn's head in with a baseball bat in the comics, I was like, oh my God, they better do this in the show. And then when they did it, I was like, good job. But then the rest of the show just got really bad. But
it's just, honestly, Tim and I talk about it all the time because it pisses me off that he doesn't watch it anymore. I'm like, I love Walking Dead. The last, are you still watching it?
No, I stopped after season 8.
I don't understand you people. You know,
so
I don't understand. You can't just bail on a show that you were super invested in. You can't just be like, I'm going to stop watching this now. That's horseshit.
I watched it up until Rick flew away on a helicopter, which, by the way, he's not dead. I guarantee you. They have a movie.
Of course he's not dead.
Yeah. So anyway, he flies away. And then after that, the show got really fucking boring, man. Like, and like in the they strayed away very far. Well, enough from the graphic novels that I wasn't following the show anymore. Because I was reading the graphic novels at the same time that the show was happening to see how close that they were, and they're no longer really close anymore.
Dude, I'm like, even though you say that, and I still have watched it, I will say the last 3 seasons since Rick died has just been
I
a
do-
super disappointment. Thankfully, the last half a season to half a season that they're about to continue at the end of this month was return to form. I don't want to give spoilers away, even though we've
Good.
done spoilers on this thing. You guys haven't seen it yet, which you should finish watching it because you already started. But the whole it's getting better. And it's like Breaking Bad, even though for as great as of a show it was, it did have complaints of losing its luster in whatever season 3 or 4. You know what I mean? But it comes back. Like that's the whole point of the show is to see if it can come back and be good again, which I do believe it is going to. Yeah.
Can I say though, Breaking Bad for me, all the way through that TV show, there was only one down episode for me, and that was the Fly episode. That was the only episode where they're both in like the meth lab in the Fly.
Tim hasn't seen it.
Oh, really? Dude, I dodged that show for like 10 years. And then Eric Lloyd finally sat me down or told me, sit down and watch it. You will not be.
Seriously.
It's the best TV show I've ever watched in my life.
I've told him the same thing several times. And yeah.
And when you, and then when you,
yeah.
I just haven't caught back up to get back on it.
If you get past the first couple, 3
okay.
episodes, you're in, you're hooked, dude. Yeah.
But I can tell you this is the way, and then when you watch it and then listen to Vince Gilligan and how he wrote the show and how it came to be what it was is unreal. Like Vince Gilligan is a genius. And I really wanted to get I wanted to get behind Better Call Saul. I watched 4 seasons of it or 3 seasons of it, and I just couldn't, I had to bail on that one too. It just didn't satisfy that Breaking Bad thing. And I knew that's what they were trying to avoid, but I just couldn't back it anymore. Even though I love what's his face that plays Saul.
He's great. I got like
I
two
love him.
episodes in the Better Call Saul, 2 or 3 episodes, and I'm like, I keep telling myself I'm going to go back. It's like Fear the Walking Dead, where I watched the first 3 seasons of that, and I'm like, I'm going to try to get into that, and like, nope, can't do it.
I watched the first season of that. I was like, what did I waste my time watching?
It's actually, it's really good right now. It's season 3 that I'm in, and it's actually really, really good. That new Walking Dead series with the kids that just came out, though, I've watched 1 episode. Levi watched the whole series, and he is pissed that he watched the whole series because every episode, he's like, it's like the Full House version of Walking Dead.'s like, fuck this, but I'm watching it. I'm invested. He's like, I'm in through the series, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to too, but I'm an idiot. But
Uncle Jesse's a zombie now.
no, it's like they do. This is what I hated about like TGIF. Tim and I were just having this conversation off the air the other day.
I love
he lived for that shit, and me,
I did too.
Oh man, TGIF on
Boy
BBC
Meets
was
World,
the
man.
worst thing about television programming to me ever. Like just stock, generic, like formulaic shows. They all had the like the special moments like at the end, and that's what Walking Dead has now. All these special moments at the end of this nice melodic piano music, and you're like, fuck off.
First of all, is Tim's mic on?
Yes. Hopefully on.
No, it's been muted this whole time.
I heard you through his microphone, but I'm just saying now it's on. So you have a bunch
Tim?
of extra
See
stuff.
The audio file doing this.
Look, there's
have a bunch of
no
extra
way
stuff.
that we are going to be able to replicate that awesome first couple 3 nerd segments. So you're going to have to be muted that whole time. I don't know what to tell you.
You could try to fill it in with your lips overdub, like they do in movies.
Sounds like we're making a kung fu movie. Like,
Can you imagine his lips are moving? Yes.
What was it? I just watched Mulan. Speaking of
Really?
kung fu movies, even though it's
So,
not technically a kung fu movie,
would
it's
you
so good.
think- You like it?
Yeah,
I loved
it
it.
was great.
I loved it. There was a lot of hate for it, but I loved it.
Did you watch it?
I'm still stuck on the old cartoon one. I haven't seen the new live action yet.
I never watched the cartoon one. And it's
Oh, you-
just, like,
what?
I would never, ever, ever watch a Disney like a princess movie past the age of like 13.
Oh, First of all, it's not a traditional Disney princess cartoon movie. Eddie Murphy single-handedly makes that movie as a kid. Like, he was the comedic genius behind. There's a dragon called Mushu, and Eddie Murphy is freaking hilarious. In
Are you
it.
serious?
Yes.
I'm still not.
You
gonna
have
watch it.
to watch it. You have to watch it. But anyway, so that was a big thing when they made Mulan. They're like, you don't have Mushu in this? Like, people were very upset. And I don't even know if they ever asked Eddie to, like, reprise Mushu in it. But they didn't have it, and they thought, well, this isn't going to work. I actually rather enjoyed Mulan. I thought they made a spin on it, and it was good.
Oh,
I
I'm
enjoy
glad I've never watched the cartoon because I'm like, this doesn't even look like a quote Disney movie to me. You know, I didn't know anything about the backstory of like the cartoon or anything. So to me, it just like looked like an epic Lord of the Rings style movie, which it was, and it was awesome.
It was pretty true to the cartoon. There's just small things missing. The ending was a little different, but it was. I liked it. I enjoyed it. Have you seen any of the other remake movies that they've done? I know you're probably not a huge
A few,
Disney dude, but
because like I'm a nerd about a lot of Disney movies till I reached a certain age.
right.
So it's
Did you
like,
see Aladdin?
no, because I never watched the cartoon Aladdin. I'm like, I don't have any interest. Once I got past a certain age, I had zero interest
Yeah.
in cartoons, which is
makes
why I don't watch Clone Wars, which is why I don't watch really anything.
But I mean, Aladdin. You don't watch Clone Wars,
No,
brother? That adds so much to the story.
that's what everybody tells me, and I'm like, I don't care.
I'm not even a huge Star Wars fan, and I was like, oh,
It
that.
just looks like garbage kid animation, garbage kid cartoons, and I can't wrap my head around it. And I don't care how good the storyline is. I don't care.
It takes a while to get to some serious stuff, but by the end,
That's the
you're
thing.
like,
How long? How long?
Just
How-
a few episodes, and then things
Yeah.
that are in the movies are all connected almost immediately.
I don't
See-
like it. I don't want to watch it. But the more I hear about it, the more I'm like, maybe I do want to watch it.
Like it's not even a spoiler in it, but like Darth Maul is a part of this.
Yeah.
of this series.
Yeah,
Because-
you
I know.
realize what happened to Darth Maul.
and it's awesome.
Like as a kid, that watched the 1, 2, and 3. Okay, it came out for in like 5th, 6th, 7th grade for me. I was like, Darth Maul's dead. Blah blah blah. And then you start getting deeper into the universe. I was like, whoa, he's not dead. And then you see him in the Solo movie. He's like, oh, he's super not dead. Then you realize what really happened after the fact, because we went back and watched Clone Wars after we watched the new set of movies. And my wife basically knows everything Star Wars. She's a Star Wars nerd of the family. But the only reason I knew a lot of the Mandalorian stuff was from watching that shit.
Yeah.
What's her face that has the weird hair?
Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Ahsoka.
That's the only reason I knew who the hell she was.
That's the thing. I don't necessarily need to know who they are. You know what I
But
mean?
she's a big piece of the puzzle, though.
Well,
and
I mean, I watched Mandalorian, and
Right, but that piece of the puzzle, why she would not train him, is actually solved back in those cartoons.
Yeah.
I just don't care enough.
Come on, brother.
I mean, look, he tries, McTighe tries, you're trying now. There's other people that are trying to get me to watch
So
Clone
check it
Wars, and
out.
I'm just
It's-
like, no.
It's
Not doing
good.
it.
It's good content, especially if you deep dive into the universe like the Marvel universe. Or I wish to holy hell DC would get their shit together and make a universe like Marvel. My favorite superhero of all time is Batman, and the reason why is when I was a little kid, I watched Batman, the Michael Keaton Batman, when I was 4.
Yeah.
And I had Joker nightmares for 5 years. Joker is my all-time favorite villain. And like when Heath Ledger portrayed him, I was like, oh my God, that is the best Joker I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And where they've taken that show and where they've done spin-offs. Have you seen the show Pennyworth? Or not Pennyworth. Yeah, Pennyworth. It's on oh shoot.
Is it the DC
Epics.
universe?
It's on Epics. So
Oh,
if you
Epics.
get the Epics for like $5 a month, there's another streaming service you have to buy. They have a show of young Alfred. And it is phenomenal.
He just
It is
kicks ass.
so
Like
Is
he's
it just a cartoon? Is it animated?
No, it is a TV show. And it's about Alfred prior to him meeting and getting involved with Mr. Wayne. It is so good. But yeah,
No,
so there's a million different avenues.
I got HBO Max. I have
Dude.
I've always loved Superman. I've always loved Batman,
Always.
even though I haven't read comics, you know. Got HBO Max, and that's like a sub part of DC Max's, or excuse me, HBO Max is DC. And I'm like, oh shit, there's a bunch of stuff on there. I watched Superman Red Sun. That's
Yes.
awesome.
Yes.
But I'm like, I don't know why I can watch those cartoons, but I don't want to watch.
Well, it's probably because you were associated with him growing up, though.
Yeah,
You know what
I
I'm saying?
watched Batman as a
Yeah.
kid.
Right.
Nostalgia.
So like the Batman animated series is on HBO, and we started rewatching it, and I
Yeah.
watched it as a kid. But I just like Batman a lot for some reason. And that's what disappointed me about the Justice League. And I remember having this talk with you on Facebook, I said it was legitimately the most disappointing movie I have ever seen. It was an hour and a half of garbage to me. And now I'm stoked for the Snyder cut. It looks great from what I've
4
seen.
hours long, and
It's on
Martian
HBO
Hunters
Max
in
in
there.
March 18th.
Yeah.
But it is Snyder's vision for the original movie. Because if you recall, he had to leave halfway through the movie due to some family issues. I think his daughter committed suicide.
I just thought he got fired.
He stepped away.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So
But then
Joss
DC was
Whedon
like, or
did it?
Warner Brothers was like, we can fire him now. Like that's our excuse to have him go away
No shit.
because they weren't happy with his direction.
I mean, to be honest with you, I wasn't a fan of a lot of the stuff he was doing. I mean, the guy did 300 and he was noted for it, and that was it. Okay, cool. And like his Batman vision though just wasn't. It struck me as, what is the old Batman comics? They have shows for it too. I can't remember. But they have like an old battered Batman. That's what Ben Affleck always struck me as, was a very battered, beaten, older
Yeah, he's
Batman.
an older Batman.
Batman
right.
Beyond.
Yes, Batman
Yeah.
Beyond, exactly. And actually now rumors have it Michael Keaton's coming back to play Batman Beyond. But I just wasn't a fan of where he was going. I actually really like Jared Leto's Joker. But he's changed that supposedly in Justice League. He said it's a road weary Joker. You didn't like it?
No, that was the worst thing I'd ever seen. I'm like, I get it, dude. You're edgy. You're trying to be Heath Ledger. He's trying to be Heath Ledger, like amp it up a notch. I'm like, shut up.
See, but that's what I don't.
really can't stand anything Jared Leto does. I pretty much hate him.
Really? You don't even
He's
like
a
30 Seconds to
fucking
Mars?
asshole. Huh?
You like 30 Seconds to Mars?
No.
Like the first 3 albums, which was like hard rock.
Nope.
You didn't like them?
Nope.
Really?
Nope.
I always liked
Jared
Jared.
Leto. He's the most pretentious celebrity I could possibly imagine.
I got
Have
him
you-
on CD and vinyl.
That boy. I like 30 Seconds to Mars, but that's just, obviously a different music choice.
My favorite scene ever, my favorite thing to ever see Jared Leto in is when he's getting the shit beat out of him in Fight Club. Just boom, boom, boom. Just his face gets turned into mush. I'm like, ha ha.
Did you see him in that gun running movie with Nicolas Cage?
Huh?
He was in a movie. It was like the first movie that came out on Blu-ray. Back in like the early 2000s. I can't remember the name of it, but it was a gun running movie with Nicolas Cage. He was really good in it.
It was like Nick Cage has been in so many weird movies. Is it like Bangkok Dangerous or something? Or
No, I can't remember.
Gone
the
in
name of
60
it.
Seconds? I don't know.
Gone in 60 seconds. Now I gotta look it up. But I like Jared. I like Jared as an actor. He was really good in God damn it, the Matthew McConaughey movie, Dallas Buyers Club. Did you ever watch that? That was a
I
good one,
watched
too.
Dallas Buyers Club, but I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched parts of it.
But he was good in that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just cool.
I
mean, okay, you have HBO Max.
Yeah.
The new movie that came out, Little Things. It has Jared Leto, Denzel Washington, and Rami Malek.
Oh no, I saw a preview for that. It looks really good.
It's
But here's the
really freaking good.
I can
I
watch.
loved it.
I could watch movies with Jared Leto in it, but then it's like Bill Paxton. Like I historically hate Bill Paxton with every fiber of my being, and it honestly hasn't changed since he died.
How?
How?
The dude literally set up my career as a meteorologist in Twister, brother. That's like one of the best movies ever made.
Hey, look, some of the best things happen from the worst things.
That's true. That's true.
You got inspiration from a turd, and it's just how that works. It's like I can watch it. And I love movies with Bill Paxton in it. He's the worst part of any movie he's in. Jared Leto is the worst part of any movie he's in.
He was in
You
a
can
scary...
throw Brendan Fraser in there too.
Like those
Bruh.
first 2 Mummies?
No,
No, I said movies are good. What part of that do you not understand? Every time we have this discussion, he thinks I hate the movies. I said
You hate the
You
Fraser
like the
part.
movies. You
Or
hate the
I
Fraser
hate
part.
them. They're the worst part of any movie they're in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Encino Man. God, that's such a good movie. So
Yeah, and you know what? Encino Man I loved back then, but you know what? He was a fucking caveman. He was like,
that's
that's what he was
true.
playing.
that's true.
You know?
That is true. I will give you that one. That is true. It's called
Hey, you
Lord
wanna
of War,
hear-
by the way.
Do you want to hear about a 12-year-old British boy that had to undergo a 6-hour surgery after swallowing 54 magnets?
This
as an
sounds
experiment?
familiar.
Huh?
I think I've heard a story like this before.
Dude, it's happened more and more. We talked about it several times on
Yeah.
the show, several different stories of like these
What do you do?
kids just eating magnet balls.
You go up
for
to the
some reason.
fridge and just go "La, la, la," eat all the magnets off the fridge. How the hell do you eat 54 freaking magnets, brother?
He thought he would get like magnetic superpowers. Seriously.
That's what he thought.
Magneto. Yeah,
That's what he thought.
he's doing this. Come here, magnet.
They took x-rays. They had to remove 54 magnets. They thought it was like 20, and they come to find out,
Oh.
nope, it's 54 magnets.
Jesus Christ.
Man, this kid just looks so stupid. There's
How?
kids, huh?
What happened? Your kid just eat magnets? It's like, oh, he'll stop at some point. Like, what the hell? How do you not notice?
He had a
It's not
rough
like-
go, man. Huh?
It's not like getting a Lego stuck up your nose. It's
No.
54 freaking magnets.
That's a lot of
Put in a lot of time there. Just eating and eating.
That's a
he's
lot
lucky
of weight.
he's alive, because I mean the way that they say the problem is with these fucking kids that swallow these magnets, it just ruins their intestinal system because it's all these magnets like sticking to each other
Yeah.
from different parts of
Or
the intestines
pushing
and
away.
stuff. You know what I mean?
You could
So he had to have like a catheter and all these things done. But I don't know. You got to be
Oof.
real stupid to just like that kid looks like. How old does that kid look? Old enough to know better.
yeah.
I mean, if you're 12, shouldn't you know better?
He's got a story to tell later when he's at a bar in like
I
10
mean,
years.
okay, let's be real. 12 years old, I might swallow a magnet, but I'm not going to swallow 54.
Like, yeah, that's called an accident.
Yeah. Whoops.
Oh man.
54 magnets.
I just imagine him walking through the kitchen and going boom, sticking to the fridge himself. Like he's just
I see.
It happened again.
how do they work? Magnets.
Hey, shout out to Shorts Brew.
What do you got there?
Mule beer.
Huh?
Mule beer.
Mule beer?
Yeah, so it's their take on the
Moscow Mule.
Moscow Mule, but a beer.
I haven't had it yet. I knew I've seen it in the store. I just have not tried it. How is it?
It's very Moscow Muley, very gingery beer.
Really?
Tastes just like a Moscow Mule, only it's a 4.5% alcohol beer.
I had I took.
Nice.
I don't know if it's a drink in real life, but we called it the Mexican Mule because it was tequila that California girl gave me for a bet. Which, by the way, I remembered that it was because I beat her at shooting crossbow.
Yeah.
But she got me the bottle of 1800 and I put it in with some triple sec and some lime juice, and I thought I had margarita mix still. So I made it thinking there was margarita mix still, and I didn't have any. I'm like, ah, shit, now what do I do? I got this
Drink it.
thing ready for a margarita. Ginger ale is one of the best damn things I've ever had in my life.
Yeah. I mean, ginger anything in alcohol is actually really
I never
good.
thought about it that much other than whiskey. I've only put ginger ale in whiskey. I don't think I've ever put it in any other
The only problem is if you get too much ginger, for me, it burns. Man, it hurts. Like this has a really nice
beer. Do you ever do ginger beer?
just like straight like ginger ale, like but it's the ginger root, just straight ginger pop. Yeah.
That's good. It's good to make
G&D
cocktails out of.
G&D is a pizza party store here in town, which has the best pizza hands down ever. But they sell it by the slice and it's big doughy. Oh, so good. It's $1. Anyway, so they have all these weird beer. They have birch beer, which is pop from a birch root or whatever. And it's really good. But they also have ginger beer, which I didn't even know they sold, just ginger pop essentially. But yeah, it burns like no other for me. I can't have too much ginger for some reason. I'm not ginger has to come in doses. I can't drink ginger ale though. I think sick.
Really?
That's what my parents and my grandmother gave me when I had the flu or I was sick. It was ginger ale. So I can't drink it. It's like the Eve 6 song back in, what is it? The ginger ale song they always called it. Think sick like ginger ale. I can't do
It's
it.
so like it's so nostalgically comforting though. It's like an eggnog or something.
It's
you
the
know?
true
Oh
vaccine.
man, do
Yeah.
not get me around eggnog. Come Christmas or Thanksgiving time, I will buy gallons of that shit. I love eggnog, dude.
Dude, I
I
don't
drink
know
it
if I
straight out of
told
the
you.
jug.
I don't know if I told Tim a little bit that I was making eggnog. Did I tell you how it turned out?
You told me.
I did.
Yeah.
Oh, I tried making eggnog. This is the second time this year.
Please tell
I
me it was
made it
good.
a few years ago,
It was good.
probably 15, and it didn't turn out great. This was a new recipe though that didn't require any cooking. It was a raw egg recipe, and it required like some really heavy cream. I can't remember what exactly, but it was super thick raw egg variation of eggnog. And dude, I'm not even joking. It was so thick. I'm just like, I can't do this. I couldn't do it. I just throw a whole batch away, and I put a whole fifth of rum in it.
Oh,
I
like,
wasted a whole fifth of rum and a dozen eggs. Yeah,
Still
dude.
no.
The thing
so
is,
mad.
I can literally feel that going down my throat when you say that. It's so thick, though.
Dude, I followed it to the recipe. I'm like, well, this is pretty good. And it was like, man, it was no. It was I will never ever do anything other than store-bought eggnog ever again.
Yeah, but the thing is, there's certain store-bought eggnog too that I will only drink. There's some that is just too watery or like not eggnoggy to me. Like I think it's Dean's that I go with, like the thick Dean stuff.
I told you, I got some fake eggnog. I didn't know I bought fake eggnog, but I thought it was eggnog, and it says eggnog drink or eggnog flavored milk. I'm like, fuck, I got home, and I'm like, this sucks.
I think it's Dean's. You got to get like, I think they use vitamin D milk or whatever. They use the thickest cream, and it's good. But there's fakies out there, man. They'll get you too. You pour a glass, and it's like, what is this?
When I worked at the grocery store, people would buy that stuff. They'd drink half of it, and then they'd come back like a couple hours later and be like, I want to return this. Like,
shut up.
Seriously, they'd be like, I want to return it. It's not the real stuff. They're like, you can't return that. Like, that's not how this
What do
works.
you mean it's not the real stuff? They had the eggnog flavored milk?
Yes.
Oh.
They would get that kind of thing. And then they'd be like, I've been fooled. I want my money back. And I'm like, too
Dude,
bad.
I want to try that somewhere. Just like, I don't know, man. Just go eat half a box of Oreos and bring it back and be like, these Oreos fucking suck.
Oh, people! There's a plethora of stories I won't get into right now, but people would literally open up stuff, eat it in front of you, and go, "I don't like it. I want to return it." And you'd be like, "Are you kidding me right now? That's real?"
How often?
Every couple of days.
Seriously?
Oh, just if they weren't stealing stuff, they were trying that scam. Like,
There's no way.
crazy.
That's
like,
unreal.
just
Can you
goes-
imagine somebody like
goes on.
opening fruit roll-ups and just like, nope, take
Yeah,
them back,
they would-
brother.
They would do that kind of thing, or bags of chips and eat a few and go, "I don't like it. I want to return it."
How many people did you catch shoplifting?
Well, we never really caught them till after the fact, and then the policy of the company was you can't do nothing about it.
No, you just let them go.
You just
Can't
let
call
it
the
go.
cops?
Can't not
No.
unless it was like over like a giant amount of money that they
Oh.
took.
But how
Yes.
many people shoplifted? How many people did you
Well,
catch?
It wouldn't be that you caught them putting it in their pockets. Later, when you go and like straighten up the shelves, you'd reach into stuff and there'd just be like half boxes of cookies and stuff just gone. Like people would sneak into the underneath the shelf, eat it, and then just leave like the half empty stuff.
Man.
And you're like, what? Is it? Like I would have bought it for you at this point. Like that's how bad.
So, my buddy, he's a security guard at Meyer here in Cadillac, and he told me the policy is if someone makes out the doors, they don't even go after him. They go in the parking lot, cops come and get them. The policy is you do not go after because obviously they don't know what's on the outside or what's waiting. But they said the cops will take care of it as soon as it's out of the store. It's now cop law type deal. Yeah, so that's their issue. I don't know if it's the same way everywhere else, but that's what he told me. That's what they do. Now, don't take that and run around in Meyer and be like, "I'm free." Don't do that, people. That's not how this works. But yeah, that's what he told me. There's like their store policy. So I know it's a little different everywhere. You know what's really funny though? Side tangent story time with Michael Stevens.
Yeah.
So I had this kid, my buddy that was 2 years younger than me, 3 years younger than me. Can't remember. Anyway, he looked identical to me. His name was Chris. And I'm not going to say his last name just in case, but whatever. He was identical to me in high school. Teachers thought we were twins. They would actually call him me and him me. So anyways, he ended up working at Walmart security here in town when I came back from North Dakota after my first job. I was like, oh, Chris, what's up, man? And we still look very identical. And someone ended up calling the station being like, your weatherman also is a Walmart security guard. I was like, no. And like, I had to think about it. It didn't register at first. And they're like, I was like, wait, oh, Chris does that. We legitimately look so much alike that somebody thought me was a security guard at Walmart here in town. I was double jobbing, man. I was a weatherman by day, or morning, I guess, if you will, and security guard by day at Walmart.
Hey, man.
I come home.
I've been DJ and bartender, so I mean that's
He could have just messed with people too, been like, "Have a nice day. It's gonna snow tomorrow." Like,
I should have told Chris that. Yeah, I should have told Chris to have that. Like, yeah, tell him the weather. They'll really get confused.
Doppelganger stories are awesome. Like awesome doppelganger stories.
It was very weird because me and him were identical size. He got a little beefier when he became a security guard, but we were always very identical. And the way we talked, everything. I was just like, wow, this is super weird. And he lived near me growing up. So we went to the same elementary school, went to the same middle school, and then eventually, obviously, went to the same high school.
Yeah.
And we lived in the same town once we got out of high school. And now what's really funny is I'm finding out that my name is very, very, what do you want to call it? Like, I guess normal. There's a lot of Michael Stevenses in the world.
pretty common.
There's 3 of me in Cadillac alone. There was 4 of me in Minot, North Dakota. And in fact, one guy used my name to get video games that I would pre-order. He would go to my GameStop and say, yeah, I'm Michael Stevens, and take my pre-order. He did it twice. Yeah, he took my games twice. He lived on the Minot Air Force Base, which is like the biggest Air Force base in the world. And he would come into Minot, which is only 10 miles, but he would go to the GameStop that I'd go to and say, yeah, I have a pre-order for Michael Stevens. He didn't know that you couldn't do that at other GameStops. So you have to go to the GameStop that you pre-order to pick up a game. And there's one on the Minot Air Force Base, and he just didn't realize it, supposedly, that you couldn't do that. So he would go into town and get my pre-orders. And it was for all the good games, too. I was like, dude, you gave my game away. And so they'd always give me a free one, but I was just like, that's not fair. And then I came to town here, and
found a loophole.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you this story. I've only ever told this to Lauren and Adam on the show. So I got a call from a Gladwin number, which, by the way, my phone number is a Wisconsin number because I got it in college.
Yeah.
So 715. Anything that comes up that's not Cadillac, I usually just say, well, I don't know who you are. Go away. Well, I let it go. It was a Gladwin number. Nothing. Called again. I was like, whatever. Let it go to voicemail. Went to voicemail. I was like, all right, I'll listen to this message. I'm trying to remember the verbatim that this lady left for me. She's like, I clicked on my voicemail. This is the message I got. I was like, this message, this whole story is going to really freak you guys out. So anyway, this lady's like, I know what you're up to, asshole. Don't act like you don't know. And then hung up. I was like, what the fuck was that?
Like, what am I up to?
I was like, what am I doing? I'm sitting here watching TV at 2 p.m. Like, what have I done? So I called the number back thinking, well, I'm going to figure out who this person is and what's going on. I have nothing that I can possibly think of that I'm doing. So I called the lady back, and she instantly goes off on me saying, I got the emails. I know what you're up to. I was like, do you know who you're talking to? She's like, yes, this is Mike Stevens. Blah, 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 blah. I was like, okay, but what are you emails? What are you talking about? She's like, I got the emails that you sent to my fiance about wanting to meet up with him in Houghton Lake and doing stuff. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, what? And so for like, my heart is beating out of my chest. I was like, what the fuck is going on? And so she's like going off on this tangent. She paid $1 to Spokio to get my information. She had the wrong Michael Stevens. She had information from Craigslist about a guy named Michael Stevens from Cadillac, Michigan, that was trying to hook up with her husband in Houghton Lake. And they had a secret thing going on.
There is there's probably that same Michael Stevens in Cadillac watching this podcast going, Just
And, like,
butthole
don't-
getting tighter and tighter. Can't
and
even
don't get
believe
me
you're
wrong.
talking about it. Oh my God, he's talking about me.
There's nothing wrong with whatever they were planning or whatever, but you
Yeah.
have the wrong dude.
Man,
And so I was like, ma'am, okay, first of all, how did you stumble upon my number and my information? She told me that she went on Spokio. And I was like, okay, let's take a step back. Let's take a few breaths. Cause I was like, this is not me. You do realize my name is very, like, a lot of people have my name. Michael Stevens is a very generic name. She's like, that doesn't matter. I have your information. I was like, no, you don't have my information. She couldn't wrap her head around this. So I actually pulled this card, and I hate when I have to do this.
Yep.
But I said, do you
I'm
watch
kind of famous?
Do you watch Michigan This Morning? She's like, yes. I was like, do you know the weatherman named Michael Stevens? Oh my God. And she put 2 and 2 together. And she's like, I watch you every morning. I love you. And then she instantly goes into like how they watch us. And she's something manager at Forest Dunes Golf Resort or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, so that's me. I am not doing what you're saying. She's like, but I have your information. I was like,
your husband.
yeah. I was like, that wasn't me. So I was like, the information you got is a very normal name. I was like, I know there's 2 of me in town here. One is a little older and one is a little younger. You may want to figure out which Michael Stevens you're trying to get a hold of because it's not me. I was like, I told my wife that story. She's like, what hotel were you going to plan going to? She works in Houghton Lake. She's like, which hotel were you going to? I was like, stop it. She was playing with me the entire time. Oh, God. That was the weirdest encounter of Northern Michigan I've ever had with my name, and it blew me out of the water. I was so scared for
you would
half
think
a
me
second.
being a Smith, the fact that I'm a Smith, you would think I would have more like mistaken identity
Weird
stories.
stuff.
Although my ex-girlfriend did think I died.
She
What?
thought you died?
She thought I died. Danielle, her mom had seen somebody by the name of Nathan Aaron or something, or Aaron something Smith in Lake Kalkaska who had died.
No.
And she thought it was me, and she called Danielle. I heard Nate died on like the news, whatever the fuck it was. I can't remember.
Yeah.
So there was that. Yeah, not as good as getting accused of trying to bang somebody's husband though.
How do you not call her up though and be like, "What's up? I'm a ghost now."
Be like, hey, I'm watching you from up above.
Michael Stevens, I also enjoy watching you on the news in the morning. Don't watch any other news. I know that.
Thank you, man. I enjoy listening to you when I can on the radio, even though, it's kind of tough when I'm on the show, but I do have you playing in the background.
Well, I
with my
appreciate that.
headphones, so
Simultaneous broadcasting.
I appreciate you guys. Hey, can I just say,
Yeah,
I like the no beard, man.
I don't. I hate it.
What?
I am only going to grow facial hair again when I get rid of one of these chins.
Dude,
That's just the motivation.
I like it. You look sleek. You look smooth.
Yeah.
Do you think he
Maybe
could?
maybe I
you should
kinda
call
like
it-
it
you
after
should-
all.
You should call up Gillette, brother.
Do you,
like, hey,
do you think
listen.
he could do the news now? Like, is he like news ready?
No,
Yes, you are.
no,
Yeah.
no.
Yes, you are. See, that's half the thing, man. You gotta look clean shaven.
I hate that idea.
So here's the thing: is when I went through COVID end of December, early January, and I had it. It was terrible. But I didn't shave for 17 days, and that was the most I've had facial hair ever.
How was the beard going? Was it
Oh,
rocking?
brother, it was freaking awesome, dude. But I will say I found gray hairs for the first time because I'm very blonde, obviously,
Yeah.
so I can't see gray hairs. So I have red facial hair, and when it came in, I was like, "Oh my god, I have gray hairs!" No, but it was awesome. I was like, I have a beard almost. I was like, this is sweet. And last time I ever had really facial hair of some sort, I was like 19 years old, and it wouldn't fill in. It was real patchy. But I let 20 days go by, brother. I was like, call me part of the beard club. I was like, I'm feeling good right now.
I was gonna grow it back because I'd shaved it just like my once a year shedding. I had to shed the mood. I had to shed 2020 and everything, And I was totally gonna let it grow back, but it started itching. When it gets to a certain point, it starts to itch.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's kind of the what do they call that? The point of no return.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
the point of no return.
Yeah.
You got to get it past the itchy point if you're gonna have a beard. And I'm like, nope. And I shaved it again, and I'm like, not until I get rid of at least one chin.
I will tell you this though, 20 days, I was just getting to the itchy point. So
Yeah.
I'd probably have to go at least like a month.
It's probably, for me, it's a good week to 2 weeks of really itchy before it's good to go, you know?
And what else I found out was, so I don't have like great facial hair like you, Tim. So like mine, mine is very, let's just say sketchy, because
like
what
Cartman.
happens, bro, it's like it points out. It like doesn't form. It's like very prickly and very I would just say like I'm like one of those posters where you see lost kids and the guy's face on it. I had that mustache. Like it was very creepy, dude. I have creeper facial hair, unfortunately.
Was your wife like touching your face more and saying, you should I wish you could have this facial hair a little bit more?
I can't remember if she did or not. I don't think so. I know she likes it when it's like 5 days old, but not like 20 days old. Like 20 days old is like, okay, you can probably get rid of it a little bit. Yeah. Because it was getting
Did your
longer.
wife, how was it living with you with COVID? Did your wife get sick?
So the story of our COVID incident was, so we, everybody in 2020 goes through not being around older people or family or grandparents that you don't want to get sick or whatever. And that was our whole thing with my grandparents. My grandpa is 92. My grandma's 90. So the last thing we want to do is always be around him. I did thankfully see my grandpa at deer camp a few times, but it was always, outside. It was a warm fall, so we could actually enjoy him out by the fire. But I always was very cautious because my dad died last June, not because of COVID, but because he had COPD, and that was things from that related to that. But I was just like, the last thing I ever want to do is be responsible for giving somebody COVID. Like, that's just my thing. Like, I just don't want to do it. So for me, it never really changed. We're hermits anyway, for the most part. Like, we don't go out, all that stuff. So anyway, Christmas rolls around, and we always have a big gathering at my mom's. So my mom and Lyle Toffrey, that side of the family is a very large family. I have 5 aunts and uncles, and then grandma and grandpa, and then a lot of cousins. And every Christmas Eve, we go to grandma and grandpa's. So this year, the cousins, and this is where I tweeted out, I don't know if you guys ever saw it, but I said the generational gap in this country is a huge reason and why of so many issues right now.
Yeah.
And it's because of me and my cousins, 40 and younger, did not go to Christmas with grandma and grandpa. Even though grandma and grandpa could care less, they would want us there. We said, nope, we're not doing it. We're going to Zoom. We're going to give mail presents to everybody. That's the way we did it. My mom and my aunts and uncles, I love them to death. They went to grandma and grandpa's for Christmas Eve, and it's rightfully so. They wanted to see their parents for Christmas Eve. But my Aunt Mary came to Christmas with grandma and grandpa, knowing that my Uncle Denny was sick, and he had a head cold. That head cold translated to COVID.
Yeah.
Is just nobody had been tested because, and again, I love them to death, but it's just that side of the generation is just like, why do I have to get tested? It's a head cold. The thing is, it's a head cold, but that's what COVID is. It's a cold. So anyway, it went through, it got to my mom. We had a small family Christmas, and we all got sick. And I got the worst out of everybody, which is fine. Cool. I'll take the blunt, and then we'll all just, wait 14 days and we're good.
Yeah.
So my stepdad had it very briefly. He had kind of a shitty day. My mom was down for a few days. My wife, she has asthma, so that was another reason why we didn't want COVID, because we've heard of all the breathing issues. She had a cold. My sister had a bad cough. So everybody got sick. And then I was down. I started getting congestion day after Christmas, but I didn't think anything of it. It was just kind of head congestion. So you think dry air, winter, blah, 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 all that junk. By day 3, which was Monday, I went back to work, but I had horrible joint pain. It felt like I ran a marathon, and I couldn't explain why I had horrible joint pain. Like, it was horrible. I had shin splints. I was like, why am I so achy? Like, I don't get it. So I took ibuprofen and masked that, and then the next day I went to work. It was Tuesday morning, and I was cold. I was like, I'm never cold. Like, what the hell's going on? And I realized, I think I'm coming down with a fever. I was like, this is not good. I think I have whatever COVID, I guess, feels like. So they took my temperature at work at about 7 o'clock, and Tom, viewers might have seen it, but we switched to 8 o'clock. I got the hell out of there. Nobody thankfully got COVID from me. I don't think. I think we had one other case, but it wasn't. I don't know if it was for me. I came home. The doctor said, what you're describing to me is flu-like symptoms, but it's also COVID symptoms. So you have to come in and we have to give you a flu test and a COVID test. It's like, all right. So I came in and they poked my brain twice. Flu came back negative in an hour. So they're like, you probably have COVID. Just hunker down. Don't do shit for 14 days. We'll get back to you. And I was like, well, what do I do? Like, is there anything I do? She said, and this is the exact word. She said, drink as much Gatorade as humanly possible. I was like, Gatorade? What about Powerade? She's like, nope, Gatorade. It has the most sugar and electrolytes. That is what you need to keep hydrated through all this. I was like, okay, is there like anything else? She's like, no. If you have any complications, obviously you go to the ER or let us know, and we'll take it from there. So after that, I started getting a different symptom every day. It was very weird for me. A lot of people get symptoms and they just have those symptoms and then it's gone after a few days. I was getting a different symptom every day. So the first day was obviously body aches. I didn't realize I had it. And then I had the fever the next day, and then I started getting a small cold. But this really attacked my body as a severe flu, body flu, not actual flu. So I went through all those symptoms. And the biggest thing that you have to overcome is just the mind game. I will tell you this right now, losing your sense of taste and smell. I lost it like 4 days in. That is the biggest mind fuck ever.
Yeah.
Because it's instantly gone. I woke up one morning, I was eating a banana. I was like, what the hell? Is this banana old? Like, it was just mush, but I couldn't taste. And as I tried to smell it, I couldn't smell. I was like, I just lost 2 senses in a matter of 12 hours or 8 hours.
Man.
And so then I took a bottle of Mio. I was like, all right, I'm going to test this. I squirted the Mio syrup right on my tongue, and I got the bitterness, but there was no taste. And I still to this day don't have all of my taste and smell back. I'm probably past 60%, but for 2 weeks, I didn't have taste and smell. I was
scary, man.
I was like, whoa, this is weird. But at the same time, one day I had venison. I was farting up a storm, dude. I didn't smell shit. It was great. But I'll tell you,
dude,
it was weird.
I've heard from people. Funny. I've heard from people that losing the sense of taste and smell, it fucks with you so much. Like, I've heard there's people that were suicidal because of that. They just couldn't take it.
And to be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if that's why those numbers were higher during COVID, is like people just couldn't take it. It is a huge mind hurdle. Man. And especially with me having a different symptom every day, I didn't know what the next day was going to be. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't do anything. Ugh. And thankfully I didn't have any breathing issues. It was all just, like digestive and bodily issues for the most part. I didn't have the shits or anything like that, but it's a huge thing, because that was the first time I had to be quarantined for 14 days. When everybody else was quarantined for 14 days, I was still going to work. I was still doing things that was a normal day for me. But like my wife tried to explain to me last summer when she was working from home, she's like, this is a huge mental leap. You don't get it. You're still doing everything that you did before COVID hit. Yeah. And I was like, oh, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I didn't say it like that. I was nicer about it. I was like, I just don't understand. But I finally got to the point where I was like, okay, I get it. Now I understand why people were going crazy, or stir crazy, if you will, from spring to summer. Like, everyone was locked in their houses for 14 days. I didn't have that. So it was honestly, very weird.
We're going to talk about that. That's one of the first topics up on Six Packs on Mars, which, if you're watching this podcast, the Tuesday in which it was released, which is February 9th, Friday is our first Six Packs on Mars podcast, which is a topical panelist type of podcast. I think you're going to be in there, probably the first one.
Yeah.
But that's one of the topics is just like people have to be thinking about things like solitary confinement differently, especially after so many people have just had to isolate for so long. It's got to put it into a different perspective for everybody.
Is it weird that I've thought to myself, man, I sure would love to not leave my house for 14 days? Like, I want that.
No,
not there was the COVID part, but the, the not leaving.
No, to be honest with you, I thought that there was, don't get me wrong, there's sections or parts of last year where I was like, man, I wish I could be home for 14 days. I said that, but not knowing the mental leaps or whatever that you want to call it, or hurdles that you face when you're, one, sick, but two, just in your house for 14 days.
Now, when I don't leave the house for 4 or 5 days in a row, Tim thinks it's a problem.
Just like alcohol was before for me.
No, and it's a huge jump. But I mean, through the whole thing, I played a ton of video games. We watched a ton of TV.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we had a lot of good friends that would go out and get us whatever we needed if we had, stuff that we wanted from the grocery store. But it was just like, my goodness gracious, 14 days is a lot longer when you legitimately are just stuck. There's nothing you can do. And like, I understand now. I get why there's people in Russia that lose their minds because they can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Or when people were losing their minds last spring. I'm sorry to anybody that I might have offended if I ever gave you grief because you were like losing your mind, but I understand it now. I understand a section of that or a part of that.
Yeah.
Because when you're in your house for 14 days and can't do anything, man, you lose it.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're back better than ever. And Michael Stevens, of course, from the Flake of Wrath. Is it Flakes or Flake of Wrath?
Flake of Wrath.
Flake of Wrath.
Flake of Wrath.
Podcast. And, of course, 9 and 10 mornings in Northern Michigan. A meteorologist. Dude.
It's cold.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Hey,
winter.
let's talk to you right when we get at the very least, let's get you on the podcast again before spring. How about that? Let's get a little more regular.
I'll say that. Yeah, for sure. Whatever you guys want. I'm
Cool.
here at your disposal.
I wish we had a word, like we could have thought of a word ahead of time that we're like, we need you to say this one word during your weather forecast.
You know what's really funny is me and my buddy do that. He texts me, he's like, all right, today's word is this, and I will fit it into newscasts.
The thing is, it'd be great if you did, but we're not ever listening to it when
Exactly.
it's on, so we would never know if you did
Yeah,
it.
we just see
Yeah.
you.
I'll just text you and be like, yeah, I did it. You never know.
Michael
So.
Stevens, dude, it's great as always to get you on the
Yeah.
podcast. Love talking to you, and till next time.
Appreciate it, brothers.
All
Thanks,
right.
You
man.
good.
And next time I'll try not to mute your microphone.
Hey,
Yeah.
it's all right.
Okay.
We can make it work.
All
You're
right.
a dick, Smitty.
What the hell? Everything.